You were never disconnected. You were just drowned in noise. The world got loud, painfully loud. Everyone telling you what you should be, what you should want, how you should live. Schedules, deadlines, screens, opinions, all of it screaming at once. And somewhere in that endless storm of sound, you stopped hearing something much older, much quieter, much wiser. That whisper inside you, that pulse beneath thought, that is intuition, not magic, not mystery, biology, electricity, memory. It's the oldest language your body has ever spoken, long before you learned to use words. The slight tightening in your chest before a wrong decision. The warmth spreading through your gut when something feels right. The subtle lift in your spine when life says yes. That's not coincidence. That's communication. But somewhere along the line, we forgot. We were trained to obey logic, to justify every move, to trust evidence over experience. We traded sensation for certainty. And the moment we did, the voice of the body went silent, not because it stopped speaking, but because we stopped listening. Here's the truth few dare to say. You didn't lose your intuition. You buried it. You covered it with layers of survival, social performance, and endless rationalizing. You taught yourself to dismiss the shiver in your back, to ignore the weight in your gut, to explain away the unease in your chest. You called it overreacting. You called it stress. But that was your ancient radar system, blinking red, begging you to notice. Intuition doesn't yell. It doesn't argue with your plans or compete with your ambitions. It waits, patient, precise, for the one moment you pause long enough to feel. Not to think, to feel. When you finally stop filling every second with noise, you start to hear something underneath, a hum, a pulse, a rhythm that feels like truth. And it's been there since the beginning. Think about it. You felt it before. When someone's smile didn't match their energy. When you walked into a room and knew, without words, that something was wrong. When a decision felt tight, heavy, wrong, before your mind had time to reason why. That wasn't fear. That wasn't overthinking. That was clarity, speaking in the only language your body remembers. You see, intuition doesn't belong to mystics or gurus. It's not a privilege of the spiritual elite. It's a biological truth, an electromagnetic conversation between your cells, your nerves, your field. And the more you ignore it, the more static you create. That's why the modern world feels numb. We're all running on logic while starving for resonance. But the moment you turn down the noise, your body begins to speak again. Through breath, through heartbeat, through stillness. You start to notice small things. The way your shoulders drop when something feels aligned. The sudden rush of warmth when someone speaks truth. The way your body softens around people who are safe. That's not random. That's information, direct feedback from your own field of awareness. The mistake we've made is assuming intuition is mystical when it's actually mechanical. Your fascia, your nerves, your electromagnetic field. All of them receive and send signals faster than your conscious brain can interpret. You're not guessing. You're perceiving at the speed of light. Science is only now catching up with what ancient wisdom has always known. The body doesn't just react, it remembers. It stores the echoes of everything you've lived through, every fear, every joy, every heartbreak. And inside those echoes lies a map, a direction, a compass pointing home. The body is not a cage for consciousness. It's the antenna, and intuition is the signal. But to hear it again, you have to get quiet. You have to slow down long enough to feel your pulse, your breath, your own presence. Because the truth is, intuition never disappeared. It was waiting in the silence all along. And that's where this journey begins. Not in thought, but in sensation. Not in the mind, but in the skin. You've been trained to analyze. Now you'll remember how to listen. So take a breath. A real one. Slow. Deep. Feel it move through your ribs. That's life reminding you. You're equipped with ancient technology. The wisdom isn't gone. It's waiting beneath the noise. Stay here. In the next episode, we'll dive into how your body speaks, the language beneath words, the science beneath intuition, and how to finally start hearing it again. Because once you do, you'll realize something extraordinary. You were never supposed to figure your life out. You were supposed to feel your way through it. Your body has been speaking to you since the beginning. You just forgot how to understand it. Every twitch, every shiver, every breath, it's a word in an ancient language you once knew by heart. Long before vocabulary, before logic, Before the invention of why, you survived by listening. You felt danger before you saw it. You sensed trust before it was earned. You knew before you knew how you knew. That knowing didn't vanish with age. It only got buried. Under school lessons, under rules, under the heavy armor of reason. But here's the truth. Your body never stopped translating reality. It is a living receiver, constantly scanning the environment, reading frequencies, interpreting emotions faster than your brain can form a single thought. It's quantum intelligence wrapped in skin. Think about what happens when you step into a room that feels off. Your stomach tightens. Your breath shortens. The air feels thicker, though nothing has changed visually. Your mind can't explain it, but your body already did. It caught the field before your intellect caught the facts. That's the secret most people miss. The body feels first. The brain rationalizes later. Intuition is simply data without delay. And yet, we've been trained to silence this language. We call it being professional, being objective, being logical. We praise thinking, dismiss feeling, and then wonder why life feels disconnected. Here's the irony. The more you chase logic, the further you drift from intelligence. Because intelligence isn't cold, it's connected. True intelligence includes the heart, the gut, the pulse. It's a full-spectrum awareness, sensory, emotional, energetic. And when that system works together, intuition becomes precise, not mystical. Science is beginning to map this. The fascia, the connective tissue web that wraps every organ, every muscle, every nerve, is more than structure. It's a conductor. It carries bioelectric signals faster than your bloodstream moves. It stores memory, emotion, tension. When you relax or stretch, you're not just moving muscles, you're releasing information. That's why a deep breath can bring tears. That's why a stretch can unlock a memory. That's why movement often leads to sudden clarity. The body remembers what the mind forgets. In every muscle fiber, there's a record of what you've endured and what you've ignored. Those memories aren't metaphors. They're electrical patterns. Your nervous system holds them like bookmarks in time, waiting for permission to release. You know that feeling when someone hugs you and your body melts before your mind can react? That's communication. That's your cells saying, safe. Or when your stomach knots before a lie is spoken. That's not anxiety. That's language. Your gut microbiome, your second brain, holds more neurons than your spinal cord. It doesn't think in words, but it signals truth and danger with microscopic precision. Every chemical reaction, every heartbeat rhythm, every microvibration is part of this silent dialogue. And yet, most people treat their body as background noise. They ignore exhaustion. They numb tension. They override hunger, skip sleep, chase coffee, silence signals with productivity. Then they say, I can't hear my intuition. Of course you can't. You've muted the instrument. Your body is the antenna, but you've jammed the frequency. You can't receive if you're always transmitting, always pushing, doing, deciding, performing. Intuition requires stillness, not struggle. So let's relearn the language. Start simple. When your shoulders rise, ask, what am I defending? When your breath catches, ask, what am I holding? When your body softens, ask, what just aligned? Don't analyze, notice. That's how fluency returns. Through attention, not effort. The next time you feel uneasy around someone, don't rush to logic. Stay with sensation. What happens in your gut? What happens in your chest? Where does your breath go? That's conversation. That's your guidance system translating frequency into feeling. Intuition is not a miracle. It's a feedback loop. You emit a vibration. Life echoes it back through your body. Every expansion means alignment. Every contraction means misalignment. That's it. Simple, ancient, precise. The mind may lie to keep you safe. The body never does. That's why the path to clarity isn't found in thinking harder, but in listening deeper. And listening begins with presence. Because you can't feel the whisper if you're shouting inside. Try this right now. Close your eyes. Take a slow breath. Feel your spine straighten, your ribs expand. Feel the tiny pulse under your skin. That rhythm, that's you, syncing with the field. This is how the body speaks. Through micro changes in rhythm. Through pressure, temperature, expansion, contraction. Through energy moving before words. Once you begin to notice it, the world stops feeling random. Everything starts to make sense, not logically, but harmonically. You stop chasing answers and start sensing direction. Because the body isn't your limitation. It's your translator between the seen and the unseen, the thought and the truth. And the more fluent you become in its language, the more precise your intuition becomes. This is the beginning of reconnection. The moment you stop doubting sensation and start decoding it. Because what you call gut feeling is actually data, faster, older, and more honest than thought. Stay with me. In the next episode, we'll explore why intuition never argues, why it waits in silence, and how your mind's noise can bury the clearest signal you'll ever receive. You're not learning something new. You're remembering what you already knew, the language of your own body. It never shouts. It never begs for your attention. It simply waits. While the world pulls at you, notifications, deadlines, opinions, intuition sits quietly in the background, untouched by the noise. It doesn't compete with your to-do list or your logic. It doesn't raise its voice to match your overthinking. It knows something the mind keeps forgetting. Truth doesn't need volume. When you rush, it fades. When you pause, it returns. It's patient like breath, faithful like gravity. You can ignore it for years, and it will still be there, humming in the dark like a steady heartbeat, whispering the same message. I'll wait until you're ready to listen. Most people mistake silence for absence. They think intuition disappears when life gets loud. But it's not gone. It's buried under the constant hum of survival. Every time you over-explain yourself, overschedule your day, overthink your feelings, you pile another layer of noise over that voice. And intuition won't fight through clutter. It honors your free will. It won't chase you. It will simply withdraw, knowing that one day, exhaustion will make you quiet enough to hear again. You've felt it before, that moment after crying, when the body softens and the world feels still. Or that second between heartbeats when a sudden knowing lands, clear as glass. That's intuition. Not trying to convince you, not trying to explain, simply being true. Because intuition doesn't use logic. It uses resonance. It speaks in feelings, not facts. In expansion, not argument. When you're aligned, your chest opens, your breath deepens, your body says yes without words. When you're not, everything contracts. That contraction is not punishment, it's guidance. You see, intuition doesn't care about convenience. It cares about coherence. It will quietly guide you away from what's shiny but shallow, and toward what's true but uncertain. It knows timing better than your planner ever could. It knows alignment better than your ambition ever will. That's why intuition often feels inconvenient. It nudges you to rest when you're busy, to walk away when something makes sense, to leap when logic screams, not yet. Because intuition isn't here to make you comfortable. It's here to make you authentic. Let's be honest. The reason you sometimes resist intuition isn't that you can't hear it. It's that you don't like what it's saying. You already know the relationship is over. You already know the job has expired. You already know the next chapter is calling. You just don't want the responsibility that comes with truth. So you call it confusion. You call it thinking it through. But the truth is, you're negotiating with a voice that doesn't negotiate. Intuition doesn't argue. It simply repeats the same vibration until you match it. It will whisper leave until you finally pack the bag. It will whisper create until you pick up the brush. It will whisper rest until your body collapses. And when you finally obey, the silence inside turns golden, not empty, but full. That's how you know you've realigned. Not because everything suddenly makes sense, but because everything suddenly feels still. You stop trying to force decisions. You stop chasing signs. You stop demanding certainty. You start listening to sensation, and somehow, direction appears on its own. It's not magic. It's mechanics. When you calm the mind, the nervous system stabilizes. When the nervous system stabilizes, coherence increases. And in coherence, intuitive signals can finally travel through your body without distortion. The whisper becomes a wave. The message becomes movement. That's why silence isn't empty. It's full of information. Stillness is not the absence of progress. It's the preparation for it. Right now, as you breathe, there's a frequency inside you that already knows what's next. You don't need to figure it out. You need to stop interrupting it. Try this. Take a slow inhale through the nose. Hold it for 2 counts. Exhale through the mouth. Do it again. Notice how your body shifts from tight to open, from defensive to receptive. That's intuition re-entering the conversation. It speaks the moment you stop talking. So here's the invitation. Don't chase the voice. Create the silence it needs to speak. Because intuition doesn't need convincing. It doesn't need proof. It only needs presence. The quieter you become, the louder it gets. And when you finally start listening, life begins to rearrange itself around what you feel, not what you think. Stay here, stay soft. In the next episode, we'll go deeper into the memory of the body, how your muscles, breath, and even your skin hold stories you've forgotten, and how remembering them can change everything. You don't have to force intuition to speak. You only have to stop arguing long enough to hear the truth that never left. Your body never forgets, even when your mind insists it's moved on. Every heartbeat carries echoes of what you've lived through, moments you celebrated and moments you survived. Muscles hold tension long after the danger is gone. Your breath shortens when it remembers pain. Your spine stiffens when it senses old fear returning. This isn't imagination, it's biology. Trauma, joy, love, grief. They live in your cells, in the fascia that wraps every nerve. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk said it best, the body keeps the score, and that score shapes how you see the world, even when you don't realize it. But here's the miracle, what was stored can be released. Every sigh, every stretch, every conscious breath tells your body, it's safe now. And when safety returns, so does intuition. Because the body doesn't lie, it just waits for permission to speak again. So next time you feel that lump in your throat or that heaviness in your chest, don't rush to escape it. Stay. That's memory transforming into wisdom. That's your body remembering who you are. Every signal your body sends, every flutter, chill, or deep breath is frequency. Not metaphorically, literally. You are an electromagnetic field wrapped in skin, vibrating information into the quantum fabric around you. The universe doesn't understand language. It understands vibration. So when your body contracts, when your gut tightens, that's not random stress. It's a frequency out of tune with your path. When your chest opens, when your spine lengthens, when you feel peace for no reason, that's alignment. That's resonance. Intuition isn't just knowing. It's coherence. The body, mind, and heart vibrating in harmony with the version of reality you're meant to step into. You don't create it, you tune to it. And the moment your vibration matches that higher pattern, life rearranges itself effortlessly. Opportunities appear. People show up. Synchronicities unfold like breadcrumbs. This is not wishful thinking. It's physics meeting awareness. The field always responds to frequency, not effort. So stop forcing. Start feeling. Because every decision you make either distorts your signal or amplifies it. And alignment is the real power. Your breath is the quiet bridge between what you control and what controls you. It's the only function that belongs to both worlds, conscious and unconscious. When fear rises, breath becomes shallow. When peace returns, it deepens. Most people breathe to survive. Few breathe to awaken. Because every inhale is a message to your nervous system. We're safe. Every slow exhale tells your body, you can trust again. And in that trust, intuition wakes up. Dr. Joe Dispenza calls it the switch. The moment breath pulls energy up the spine, activating dormant circuits of awareness. Science calls it vagal regulation, the shift from fight or flight into rest and restore. Mystics call it remembering. When breath becomes rhythmic, your heart and brain synchronize. Coherence appears. And intuition, once buried under chaos, begins to rise. Try it now. Inhale for 5 counts. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Notice how the noise fades. Because in that small act, your chemistry changes. Your frequency shifts. And the voice you've been chasing starts to speak again from inside. What if intuition isn't mystical at all, but chemical? What if the wisdom guiding your biggest decisions flows through your bloodstream? Meet serotonin, the messenger of calm and clarity. Most think it lives in the brain, but 95% of it is made in the gut. Your second brain, your inner compass. When serotonin flows freely, your body opens. Muscles soften. Awareness expands. You feel safe enough to sense truth. But under stress, chemistry shifts. Cortisol floods in, breath shortens, intuition dims. The body enters defense, a state where vision is replaced by vigilance. You don't feel anymore. You just react. The key isn't control, it's regulation. Each slow breath, each mindful pause restores balance, letting serotonin move again. With it comes that gentle clarity, the quiet yes, the grounded no. Because intuition isn't floating in the clouds. It's coded in your cells, shaped by chemistry, awakened through safety. When the body feels safe, the signal becomes clear. And that knowing you've been searching for? It's not above you. It's within you, written in molecules of light. Beneath your skin lies a shimmering web, fascia. It wraps every muscle, every organ, every nerve like a living net of light. For centuries it was dismissed as structure. Now we know, it's signal. Fascia is electric. It conducts energy, emotion, and even intention. When you move with awareness, it vibrates. When you tense, it traps memory. Every stretch, every tremor, every spontaneous shiver is data, your body updating its code. That's why a sudden cry during yoga or a laugh in the middle of stillness feels so real. You're not breaking down, you're tuning up. You're releasing static from the system. The fascia remembers what words cannot hold. The heartbreak in your shoulders, the grief behind your ribs, the courage asleep in your spine. And when you move consciously, you free it. Think of it as an antenna. It catches frequencies of intuition and transmits them to your awareness. But it only works when relaxed, hydrated, alive. So move, breathe, let your body speak in motion. Because wisdom doesn't always whisper in thoughts. Sometimes it hums beneath your skin. Some truths don't shout. They arrive as goosebumps, as stillness, as tears you can't explain. That's beauty, the universe speaking through harmony. Beauty isn't decoration. It's frequency. It's the resonance between your inner world and the field around you. When something is truly beautiful, your heart rhythm softens, your breath deepens, your mind pauses. You don't think, you remember. Science calls it coherence. Mystics call it alignment. Both mean the same thing. The body recognizes truth. That's why sunlight through trees, ocean waves, or a single melody can move you to silence. In that moment, your nervous system syncs with the pattern of creation itself. You're not admiring beauty, you're becoming it. But most people rush past it. They mistake wonder for weakness, offer distraction. And in doing so, they silence one of intuition's purest languages. So start noticing the color that calms you, the sound that softens you, the symmetry that brings peace for no reason. That's not random, it's guidance. Beauty is the compass of the soul. Follow what moves you deeply. It always points home. You were never meant to figure life out, only to feel your way through it. Every whisper, every pulse, every breath was guiding you home all along. Intuition isn't something to find. It's something to remember. It lives where silence meets sensation, where the mind surrenders and the body begins to speak. All along, you've carried the map, in your heartbeat, in your chemistry, in the field that surrounds you. You've just been too busy thinking to notice. But now you know. When the breath slows, the noise fades. When the body softens, truth rises. When beauty moves you to tears, that's alignment calling your name. This is the return, not to something new, but to something ancient. The intelligence that built galaxies is the same one pulsing in your veins. And every time you trust it, the universe rearranges itself around that trust. So pause, breathe, feel. You don't need proof. You are the proof. Because the moment you follow that quiet thread of knowing, you don't just change your direction. You shift your dimension.